NHK World-JAPAN radio service. We bring you the news from Tokyo at 11 hours UTC on Wednesday, April 1st. I'm Queen Joseph.
And I'm Keiko Kitegawa.
In our top story, the coronavirus scare has sent shudders through the world of big business in Japan as it undermines a broad range of economic activities.
Prime Minister Abe Shinzo says Japan is yet to reach a point where a declaration of a state of emergency is necessary to contain the coronavirus pandemic.
And the Japanese government decided to ask all international travelers to self-quarantine for 2 weeks. Now, the news in detail. The coronavirus scare has sent shudders through the world of big business in Japan as it undermines a broad range of economic activities. The Bank of Japan's latest quarterly Tankan survey shows sentiment at large manufacturers has turned negative for the first time in 7 years. The index stands at -8. That's 8 points down from the previous quarter. The index represents the difference between the percentage of companies saying business is good and those saying it's bad. The index deteriorated for all sectors, especially shipbuilding, heavy machinery, and motor vehicles. Sentiment was also down at big non-manufacturers, but it managed to stay in the positive territory. It went from +20 to +8. Tourist numbers have fallen off a cliff. The index for accommodations, eating, and drinking services plunged to -59. It was +11 last time. The BOJ surveyed around 10,000 firms to come up with the index.
Tokyo stocks briefly tumbled by more than 1,000 points on Wednesday as investors placed sell orders in the afternoon session on fears that the spread of the coronavirus will cause a sharp deterioration in the economy. The market opened lower in morning trade after the Bank of Japan's Tankan survey showed that the sentiment of large manufacturers had turned negative for the first time in 7 years. Selling gained momentum in the afternoon, but prices recovered a little as some investors bought back shares. The Nikkei 225 ended the day at 18,065, down 851 points from Tuesday's close. Worries that spread of the coronavirus will cause crude oil prices to fall, further accelerating the deterioration of the global economy weighed on the market. Many market players believe there will be a prolonged impact on the economy as more retailers and restaurants shorten their business hours. They say Wednesday's Tankan survey does not reflect the most recent situation, and many anticipate a more serious impact on industries. Many worry that upcoming announcements about earnings and corporate performances will show a deterioration. There are also concerns that the government will take even stricter measures to contain the spread of the virus depending on the future rise in the number of infected persons.
Prime Minister Abe Shinzo says Japan has yet to reach a point where a declaration of a state of emergency is necessary to contain the coronavirus pandemic. Abe spoke at an upper house committee meeting on Wednesday about a recently revised law that would allow him to declare a state of emergency to fight the pandemic. He said he will decide whether to issue such a declaration by putting priority on protecting the lives and health of the public. Abe said an emergency declaration can restrict people's rights, but it would not give enhanced authority to the Prime Minister or state. He also said it would instead allow prefectural governors to make necessary requests and give orders. Abe added that a state of emergency does not mean an immediate lockdown of cities. He said it would be impossible to implement such a measure like France did. He indicated that the government may make various demands, but they will be slightly different from those done in France. There's been a call for the budget committees of both chambers of the Diet to deliberate before an emergency is declared. Abe said that if the Diet decides on it, he will fulfill his obligations. He said a declaration would mean that Japan is in a grave situation and that people need to understand it must be done quickly.
The Japanese government decided to ask all international travelers to self-quarantine for 2 weeks. All travelers from overseas, including Japanese citizens, would be asked to refrain from using public transport during the self-isolation period. Earlier, the government decided to expand the entry ban to 73 countries and territories. The additional list will include the United States, Canada, China, and South Korea, as well as most of Europe and some parts of Southeast Asia. Even after the measures are in place, Japanese citizens would still be allowed to return from restricted countries, but authorities will administer tests upon their arrival.
Health authorities in Japan reported more than 130 new cases of coronavirus infection on Wednesday, including 66 cases in Tokyo, which add up to more than 2,300 in all of Japan. The officials say the number of confirmed cases in the country reached 2,362 as of 6:30 p.m. Wednesday. The figure does not include 712 cases from the U.S.-operated Diamond Princess cruise ship. The capital has reported the most overall cases at 587. Osaka has the second highest number at 244, followed by Hokkaido with 180, Aichi with 178, and Chiba with 175. Authorities say that as of Wednesday, 70 patients were in serious condition, 10 of whom were from the cruise ship. They add that over 1,000 people have left hospitals after recovering.
A Japanese pharmaceutical firm has initiated clinical trials of a drug that could potentially treat coronavirus symptoms. Fujifilm Toyama Chemical says it will conduct tests of antiviral drug Avigan on about 100 people infected with the coronavirus. The trial will last until the end of June. The company developed Avigan as an influenza antiviral drug 6 years ago. It can only be used with government permission as there is the possibility of serious side effects. Executives plan to seek approval to use the drug in the treatment of the coronavirus if the trial proves effective and safe. Researchers in China say they found improvement in the lungs of coronavirus patients who were given Avigan in clinical trials.
As the coronavirus spreads in Japan, some foreigners in the country lack information due to language barriers. Information on containing the virus, symptoms to watch out for, and how governments are helping is widely available, mostly in Japanese. Some foreigners in Japan who have trouble understanding the language say they feel left behind. Kobayashi International Clinic in Kanagawa Prefecture near Tokyo offers services in 6 languages, including Thai and Tagalog. The clinic has been receiving inquiries from foreign residents about the virus since the start of March. Clinic head Kobayashi Yoneyuki says even Japanese find it hard to understand the system for testing for the virus, and foreigners know little about it. Japan's health ministry set up a hotline in January, but it does not accept calls in foreign languages. The Japan Tourism Agency emergency line for foreign tourists received about 6,400 calls related to the outbreak from January 22nd through March 31st. Increasing numbers of foreigners have been expressing concern about the lack of information. Tokyo-based nonprofit organization Tell Lifeline offers psychological counseling in English by phone. The NPO used to get about 20 calls a day, but since February, it's been getting at least 100, mostly about the virus. One caller expressed concern about the overwhelming lack of information in English compared to Japanese. Another asked about the effectiveness of wearing masks, citing contradictory views in Japan and abroad. Tell Lifeline Director Vicky Sporci said it would be helpful if some government resources were linked to organizations at the grassroots level and communities of foreigners. She said that would help them get information and reduce their anxiety.
You're listening to NHK World-JAPAN's radio service. The United Nations Security Council held an emergency video conference on Tuesday to discuss North Korea's latest missile launches. Some members expressed concern about Pyongyang's actions, but the Council did not unanimously condemn the launches. North Korea launched what appears to be 2 short-range ballistic missiles toward the Sea of Japan on Sunday. Zhang Zhen, China's ambassador to the UN, and the Council's chair and other envoys took part in the meeting from their offices. Diplomatic sources say countries expressed concern about Pyongyang's actions, but China and Russia reiterated their call for easing sanctions against the North. China's representative, however, reportedly expressed displeasure about the launches and called on the North to refrain from provocative actions amid the coronavirus outbreak. North Korea launched projectiles 4 times last month, but there are currently no Council discussions on strengthening sanctions.
The Tokyo Metropolitan Government has put into full force an ordinance that virtually bans indoor smoking at restaurants with employees. The ban that started on Wednesday applies to Tokyo restaurants, regardless of floor size or business scale. The ordinance still allows smoking in restaurants with no employees, but managers must report it to public health centers. The ordinance was announced in July 2018 to tackle the health hazards of secondhand smoking at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics and Paralympics. It has been implemented in stages since last year. Smokers and building managers who violate the ordinance are subject to a fine of up to about $470.
Results of the Japanese Labor Ministry survey show that the average monthly wage for full-time foreign workers, excluding overtime pay, was 223,100 yen, about $2,070. That is 84,600 yen, about $785 less than the national average of 307,700 yen, about $2,860. The results are based on data collected in June of last year. The ministry surveys the wages paid by companies across the nation with 10 employees or more every year. Last year's survey included foreign workers for the first time after Japan expanded the acceptance of foreign laborers in April last year. The average length of employment of foreign workers was 3.1 years, far below the national average of 12.2. Their average age was nearly 10 years younger than the overall average. The Labour Ministry believes these factors are behind their wage level. Meanwhile, the wage gap between men and women in the country was the smallest since 1976, when comparable data became available, with women earning 74.3% of men's wage last year.
The Japan International Cooperation Agency, or JICA, says in a report that South Korea is becoming more popular than Japan as a destination for technical trainees from Southeast Asian countries. JICA issued the report on the progress of a Japanese program designed to secure more foreign workers. The program started on April 1st last year. It says that Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan are facing a serious labor shortage. They've been fiercely competing to secure human resources from Southeast Asian countries. And that was the news from NHK World-JAPAN's radio service. I'm Queen Joseph.
And I'm Keiko Kitagawa.